Good day, everybody, and welcome to my new podcast, On Beat with KJV. I am your host, KJV, and on this podcast, I and an occasional host or two will discuss topics like food, life, and of course, music, and other items of interest to me, and hopefully yours too. So, set your EQs and adjust your headphones and enjoy On Beat with KJV. Hey, and welcome to another episode of On Beat with KJV. I am your host, KJV, and today we will be combining two of the 5 elements of hip hop. And those topics will be graffiti art and knowledge. I'll combine these two topics because I felt the topic of knowledge, it just doesn't merit a full episode for itself. And thus, the title today, Graffiti Art and Knowledge, 2 of the 5 elements of hip hop, according to KJV. But on a serious note, I hope all of y'all are doing well. And as we are going through this coronavirus epidemic, and in fun, just for laughs, because, it's a lot of panic settling in the world and things. I created like a couple funny videos on Facebook and YouTube, by the names of the Bacardi 151 virus and the infamous Coke 45. But jokes all aside, I hope you're in the house, taking care of yourself, washing your hands before you go out, after you touch anything. Keep your distance from people. Don't be scared. Just carry your life on as usual, but make sure you keep your hands clean before touching your face and other things like that. Now, with that said, what do y'all think about all this panic buying? Like, man, it ain't no food in the stores, no toilet paper, no soap. All the stuff that you think that you would already have in your house, they are going crazy. Now, I love food, but occasionally I like to go get some Spam. I know you're talking about Spam. Yeah, I like Spam, but I don't eat it all the time. I get it. You can go in the store anytime and see Spam, because don't nobody buy Spam. But believe me, I went to go get some Spam. You can't find a can of Spam nowhere. That is pitiful. So these people out here panicking and fearful, and then they're going to come to a realization that they wasted a lot of money because this food going to be wasted for some people. And, toilet paper, I went crazy like that over toilet paper, but I ain't going to get into that. But that's what I want to talk about today is graffiti art and knowledge, 2 of the 5 elements of hip hop. But I'm going to get more into this in the following main topic. But for right now, we'll continue after this break.
Hey everybody, did you hear the news? What news? Well, I started a new podcast called Noteworthy. Join me, Kiana Dene, your favorite poet out here, bringing you that love and ink every week, where I'll be reading my poetry to you. So subscribe today. Episodes are coming soon. Love and ink.
Welcome back. And now for the Horoscope 2020 section of this show for Cancers. And like always, I'll be just reading Cancer because what? KJV is a Cancer. So, Saturn will turn renegade on May the 11th, and this can result in obstacles in your marriage or your workplace. If possible, try to postpone any important tasks at the moment. On the 29th of September, the path of Saturn will become progressive, and only then should you resume all your work and expect success out of it. Astro Yogi suggests that you need to keep a regular check on your day-to-day life and make use of your day in a planned manner to achieve maximum out of it. With the regression of Jupiter on the 14th of May, you will feel success coming your way. The vision of Jupiter on your 7th house will make it possible for you to overcome health problems you've been facing for so long. On June the 30th, Jupiter will move into Sagittarius, which suggests that you take care of your health. You may have to face problems related to your stomach. Weight gain can also haunt you at this time. With the progression on the 13th of September, Jupiter again will start to give you auspicious results in terms of your health, luck, and good fortune. On September the 23rd, Rahu will move to Taurus in the 11th position, or the house of profit and fortune. On the 20th of November, Jupiter will move back to Capricorn, and you will benefit from this transit. At the beginning of the year, Rahu will be at the 12th house, creating opportunities for you to travel abroad. Overall, this year will be prosperous for Cancers. And that's it for the segment on Cancers 2020. And on next to the food segment. Well, it's that time again, and you guessed it. It's another meal from HelloFresh. This meal was easy to make and not bad on cleanup either. This meal is called chicken sausage and spinach ravioli. The ingredients included in this meal are 2 scallions, 1 lemon, 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning, chicken stock concentrate, 1 Roma tomato, 9 ounces of Italian chicken sausage mix, 9 ounces of spinach ricotta ravioli, 4 tablespoons of sour cream, plus the following items you should have in your everyday pantry: vegetable oil, salt, pepper, and butter. To prepare, bring a large pot of salted water to a boil. Wash and dry all produce. Trim and thinly sliced scallions, separating whites from greens. Dice the tomatoes and quarter the lemon. Heat a large drizzle of oil in a large pan over a medium-high heat. Add scallion whites, sausage, and Italian seasoning. Cook by breaking up the meat into pieces until sausage is brown and scallions are soft. Stir in tomatoes and cook until soft. Now, once the water is boiling, gently add ravioli to the pot. Reduce to a low simmer. Cook, stirring occasionally until al dente and floating to the top. And reserve a half a cup of that pasta water, and then drain. Now gently shake the strainer with the ravioli to remove as much moisture as you can. Stir stock, concentrate, and a squeeze of lemon and a small dash of the reserved pasta water into the pan with the sausage mixture. Cover with low heat until sausage is cooked through, scraping up any of the brown bits from the bottom of the pan. Stir in the sour cream and the tablespoon of butter. Season with salt and pepper. If needed, stir in a splash of that pasta water until the sauce reaches a creamy consistency. Now you divide the mixture between bowls, garnish with green scallions, and serve with any of the remaining lemon wedges on the side. Now, like I said, this meal was prepared at pronto speed. It starts by a perfectly paired pasta, chopped tomatoes and pieces of chicken sausage that cook up quickly in a pan. And your water started boiling, you added the ravioli, which became perfectly al dente in a flash. And after that, all you had to do is stir in the creamy sauce and put it on a plate. Mamma mia, I give this dish 5 forks. And I suggest if you love cooking and you like a good fresh meal, you should subscribe to HelloFresh. Although they are not a sponsor, they are very good. But I love to cook, and like I said, I use this as a stress reliever, and I just have fun cooking. And that's it for our cooking segment today. Yo, you got something to say, and you want the world to hear it? You want to start a podcast but don't know how? Well, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. And it's free. They have creation tools that will allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Plus, if you have guests, just show them how to download the app and record a session, and they can share it with you, and you can mix it in to your episode at a later date. Plus, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Plus, everything you need to make a podcast is all in one place, and that one place is Anchor. So if you're looking to create a podcast, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Now to the main topic today, which is graffiti art, one of the 5 elements of hip-hop. Now, the word graffiti was derived from the Italian word graffito, which means scratch, and graffiti, which means incised inscriptions. Now, the word is plural, but is often used as singular, and it has a long history. For example, markings have been found in ancient Roman ruins, in the remains of the Mayan city of Tika in Central America, on rocks in Spain dating back to the 16th century, and in medieval English churches. During the 20th century, graffiti in the United States and Europe were closely related with gangs. And these gangs used graffiti as a variety of purposes, for identifying or claiming territory, for memorializing dead gang members as an informal obituary, for boasting about acts committed by gang members, and for challenging other rival gang members as a prelude to committing violent confrontations. Now, graffiti was particularly prominent in the major urban cities throughout the world, especially in the United States and Europe, which the common targets were subways, billboards, and walls. Now, contemporary graffiti style, it has been heavily influenced by hip-hop culture. And the styles derived from Philadelphia and New York City subways. And this graffiti, however, there are many other traditions of notable graffiti in the 20th century. And it has long appeared on buildings, walls, and latrines, railroad cars, box cars, subways, and bridges. The oldest example of modern graffiti are the monikers, which are found on train cars created by hobos. Yes, I said hobos, and rail workers since the late 1800s. The Bozo Texino monikers were documented by the filmmaker Bill Daniel in his 2005 film, Who is Bozo Texino? And in 1979, the graffitiist Lee Quinesos and Fab Five Freddy were given a gallery opening in Rome by the art dealer Claudio Bruni. For many of outsiders of New York City, it was their first encounter with this form of art. And Fab Five Freddy's friendship with Debbie Harry influenced Blondie's single Rapture. And it offered many people their first glimpse of a depiction of elements of graffiti in the hip-hop culture. Also, Ja 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 toured Germany, Switzerland, Belgium, and Harlem with a large graffiti canvas as a backdrop. And Charlie Hairgrease independently released film Wild Style, which was made in 1983. And then you had the early PBS documentary Style Wars, which was also created in 1983, which had hit songs such as The Message and Planet Rock. And their accompanying music videos, both were made in 1982, contributed to the growing interest outside of New York in all aspects of hip-hop. Now, Style Wars depicted not only famous graffitiists such as Scheme, Donde, Men One, and Cypher, but it also reinforced graffiti's role within New York's emerging hip-hop culture by incorporating famous early breakdancers groups such as the Rocksteady Crew into films and featuring rap in the soundtrack. Although many officers of the New York City Police Department found this to be controversial, Style Wars is still recognized as the most prolific film representation of what was going on within the young hip-hop culture of the 1980s. Fab Five Freddy and Futura 2000 took hip-hop graffiti to Paris and London as part of the New York City rap tour in 1983. Also, Hollywood paid close attention, and consulting writers such as Phase 2 as it depicted the culture and gave it international exposure in movies such as Beat Street, which came out in 1984. And now I will break down graffiti into the different styles. And I have broken down into 6 styles. It may be more, but there are only 6 that I know of. And number 1 would be tagging, which is a tag. A tag is most basic writing of an artist's name. It is simply a hand style. A graffiti writer's tag is his or her personalized signature. Tagging is often an example given when opponents of graffiti refer to any acts of hand style graffiti writing. It is by far the most common form of graffiti. Tags can contain subtle and sometimes cryptic messages and may incorporate the artist's or crew's initials or other letters. Another form of tagging, known as pissing, involves, as I said, pissing involves taking a refillable fire extinguisher and replacing the contents with paint, allowing for tags as high as maybe 20 feet. Another form is throw up, also known as bombing, which is normally painted very quickly with 2 or 3 colors, sacrificing the aesthetics for speed. Throw-ups can also be outlined on a surface with 1 color. And then you have number 4, which is a piece. A piece is more elaborate. It's an elaborate representation of the artist's name, incorporating more style letters, usually incorporating a much larger range of color. This is more time consuming and increase the likelihood of the artist getting caught. And number 5 is the blockbuster or roller. It is a large piece, almost always done in a block-shaped style, done simply to cover a large area solidly with 2 contrasting colors. Sometimes the whole purpose of blocking other writers from painting on the same wall. These are usually accomplished with extended paint rollers and gallons of cheap exterior paint. And 6 is the wild style. I'm saying wild style, which it is the style. It is a more complex style, a form of graffiti usually involving interlocking letters and connecting points. These pieces are often harder to read by non-graffitiists as the letters merge into one another and are often in an undecipherable manner. With the commercialization of graffiti and hip-hop in general, in most cases, even with legally painted graffiti art, graffitiists tend to choose to be anonymous. This may be attributed to various reasons or combinations of reasons, but graffiti still remains one of the main elements of the 5 elements of hip-hop that is not considered as a performance art, despite the image of the singing and dancing star that sells hip-hop culture to the mainstream. Being a graphic form of art, it might also be said that many graffitiists still fall into the category of the introverted archetypal artist. And with that said, I suggest you should check out one of the following. 80 Blocks from Tiffany is a documentary created in 1979. It gives a rare glimpse into the late 1970s New York style towards the end of the infamous South Bronx gangs. And it also shows you some of like the graffiti and stuff they had in that time and era. And like I said before, check out the documentary, especially Style Wars that was created in 1983. It was, it was on the hip hop culture and made in New York City. And one of my favorite movies, you can check that out, is Wild Style. It was a drama about hip hop and graffiti. It's a culture in New York City. And now that I have talked about graffiti art, I hope that you have a grasp or better understanding of what graffiti is all about. And like I said, you can read or look this up again, because I always said this is what I perceive graffiti art to be. And like I said, everything that I say and do is are my thoughts and my interests and my ideas. But I hope that with me telling you about this, you understand why I consider graffiti art one of the 5 elements of hip hop. And now I'm going to finish up with a brief discussion on knowledge as one of the final elements of the 5 elements of hip hop. Now, knowledge is a familiarity and awareness or understanding of someone or something, such as facts, information, descriptions, or skills, which is acquired through experience or education by perceiving, discovering, or learning. And that is why I say knowledge is an aspect or one of the 5 elements of hip hop. In MCing, you have to have the knowledge of words. You have to have the knowledge of being able to put the words together to produce or conceive a mental picture of the story or the details that you are talking about. DJing, you have to have a skill. That's a precise skill. You have to have knowledge. You have to know beats per minute. You have to know the song all the way through. You have to know the speed of the song. You have to know the breaks, when the break beat comes, when the break beat ends, to be able to stop the record on a dime so that it can sound flawless when you're creating the music. B-boying, the same thing. You have to have knowledge of the song. You have to know how to dance. You have to know how to express yourself in dance. Graffiti art is the same. You have to know how to draw. You have to know how to express. People go to school to draw. And some of this stuff comes naturally to these graffiti artists. They don't have a scale. They don't have freehand. They use paint. Now, some people, they use stencils and things like that. But majority of these people come up with this in their head and they know how to scale it out just by looking at it. So it takes knowledge to do so. And like I said, knowledge can be implicit, as with practical skill or expertise, or explicit, as with theoretical understanding of a subject. It can be more or less formal or systematic. In philosophy, the study of knowledge is epistemology. I am messing up. Why can I not pronounce this word today? Epistemology. And epistemology is the investigation of what distinguishes justified belief from an opinion, especially with the regards of method, validity, and scope. Even Plato defined knowledge as justified true belief. Now, they say Solomon was the wisest person in the world, but I beg to differ, because he let a woman steer him away from what God told him to do. And that was just, hey, obey me and listen to me and don't worship nothing else. But he had many different wives, like God told him not to. But he listened to them than God, and they had him worshiping idols. But that's another story. Like I said, knowledge is the key to everything. And like I said, these are just my opinions and my theories. But this concludes a full series of the 5 elements of hip hop. And I hope you enjoyed this. And until next time, till another Tuesday. Until the next episode, stay safe, be careful, and until next time, peace, love, and hair grease. That concludes this episode. I am your host, KJV. Stay tuned every other Tuesday for new episodes on Beat with KJV.